Like to call the Gibson County Ditch Board meeting, June 2nd, 2026 to order. First item on the agenda is the minutes. They are not finished, so we will postpone the approval of last month's minutes and add this month's minutes at next month's meeting. Okay. That's quite all right, Candy. Things happen. Okay, Scott, tabled requests. We have anything? No. Approved requests? No. Any old business?
No.
How about new business?
Well, this is the time of the year where we're not,
Right.
Crops are in, and we do what we can where we can.
Right.
But yeah, and then new business. We've got my ditch certifications. This is an annual something I'm required to do annually under Indiana Code 36.9/2734. But they haven't changed a lot. One thing, so what I do here is rate the top 10 ditches in need of reconstruction or maintenance over the last few years. And if you'll see, those first 7 is Upper Pigeon Creek. One thing I want to mention here, number 9, I could see number 9 leading this list in the next year or two. As you know, that's the Lillard west of town here, goes out and runs around the south side of the power plant lake.
Okay.
That's the one we've been, I think in 2019, we did a reassessment on it, and then we started a pretty large project on that. So I could see that project finishing up in here in a couple of years, and I think good news is that Lillard, once that's done, will drop off the top 10 list. So,
Obviously, they're always going to be, there's continual maintenance.
Yeah,
It's not like
yeah.
you do a project and then never have to touch it again.
Right. And it just seems like sometimes it's just never ending.
Right.
But the attached report, there's a report here. There's 341.2 miles of regulated drain in the county. Some of these need to be vacated probably. There's just small ones. I think there's one down in Wabash area, but that would, reduce the overall mileage slightly in the future. And then,
So how do you go about that? And why do we want to, I guess?
well, it would, I guess, right now, they would be technically regulated drains. So, not a lot of maintenance being done on it, because there's one that I can think of offhand that is in the bottoms on the other side of the levee. And it's, it's just kind of standing there by itself. Can't remember the name of it offhand, but it would just reduce, any responsibility that, somebody might come in and say, well, this is technically a regulated drain, and
So you just basically goes back to the landowner's control, I guess?
yeah, it would basically go back to being a private drain.
Waterway.
I think it's much like a hearing to vacate those. So you have to send notices to everybody.
Like all the adjacent property owners type
Yeah.
thing?
And the watershed, and that's just
Yeah,
brings it up where it should.
and that may be why they haven't, there's not a lot of them. I can't think, it's not a whole lot of them that need to be vacated, but it does kind of add up. But yeah, it would be sending out letters to everybody, letting them know that
Then you have to
the
have
county is interested in vacating the ditch, and you get everybody's input on whether,
so you have
that
to have a
ditch-
public hearing kind of thing?
Yes,
and if-
yeah, you have to have a public hearing and say, okay, do we either want to start assessing this ditch or do we want to vacate it, you know?
Okay, back up. So some of these are not being assessed,
Some of these, yeah, the ones.
So
that-
we're to-
Some of them are not being assessed.
so the county receives no funding to do maintenance on
Right,
that.
right,
Okay, that makes more sense why we're
Yeah.
looking at,
yeah,
why you would think about vacating that.
Yeah.
Because if we're receiving funding, obviously, then
You're right.
we
but
can't.
It wouldn't need, yeah.
Right.
And the thing is there too, is if you went through that process, I think that, most of these were originally assessed when drainage code changed in the mid-sixties. I think you'd be looking at, either vacating it or, and I don't even know, you know, how that process would look, because if you had the public wanting to not vacate it, wanting it cleaned up, you would really need to reassess it at today's dollar versus 1965, the 1965 dollar. So, but
I don't think they had, I don't think they went through the court system.
some of those,
Yeah, they not even
so,
go through it, so.
some of them might not have went,
Never been assessed.
yeah, never been assessed, so you would have to do almost like a reassessment, to put an assessment on the ditch, so,
Well,
yeah. So, that's probably why those haven't been vacated,
can you, not to dump a bunch of work on you, but can you come up with a list of current regulated drains that you feel are candidates for abandonment, whatever you want to, whatever words you want to use, to present to us to look at, and then we can decide whether we want to have public hearings about that, and then if, you know,
And I have
people in the
those.
area want them to continue to be a regulated drain, then maybe we'll have to look at the reassessment process to generate some funding for maintenance on them.
Do you do that, can you do them all at once, or do you have to do them one by one?
I'd say that'd be however you wanna do,
I mean, if you had
wanna
to-
do
if
them
you-
all at once.
Yeah, that'd
That-
be a
that might
Jason
be
question.
kinda,
but
Populate
you know,
that.
I
you
think
might
the
have-
start's to get a list.
Oh, yeah.
I
no,
wouldn't
for
say
sure.
you couldn't, you know, that'd be something we'd have to get Jason's
Right.
opinion on, but you might have a, you know, you might have a regulated drain in the northeast part of the county that you're gonna vacate, and then you have one maybe in the
Southwest,
southwest. So
right.
you're looking at a watershed, you're looking at sending letters to people that, you know, you could probably do them all at once, but you ask about the ones that need to be vacated, I can narrow those down to one list if you want, but they are, if you look at the classification, and that's what code requires me to do, it requires me to classify each ditch for reconstruction, maintenance, or vacation, I believe, yeah. And that's what I've done here, so those all should be marked on this list, the ones that could be looked at to be vacated. And if that's something, you know, I think if that's something you guys wanted to entertain, I'd definitely look at getting Jason's opinion on how that process lays out. And if you guys wanted to go through and look at each one of those, it might be good to at a drainage board meeting, or maybe even have a special meeting where we're just pulling them up and
Say how-
looking at them, looking at the watershed.
How hard would it be for John to make a map?
They're already on the map, the regulated.
Yeah, if I could pull it up, I could show you. They're on there. I think
Okay.
they're all black. Is that right? But we could go through and get all the information on each one of them. And if you wanted to look at them, get a good idea, you can, if you turn the regulated drains on, county ditches on Beacon, and look at the black ones, that's pretty much the ones that don't have a fund, and that are listed here as in possible need of vacation.
Okay.
So that's just something I do annually.
Okay.
And then, oh, yeah, need
Yeah,
a,
we'll need a motion on that, to accept it.
Well, I'll make that motion to accept, the surveyor's paper on the regulation.
I second that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay, Candy, last meeting you talked about mainstream wanting to cross a regulated drain.
This one is, what this one is, I got a new application.
Okay,
And it's just, they're going over a regulated drain, which is on, Bryden Road, it's 200 south. If you go to Oakland City.
yes, go
and
straight,
Go straight off.
right,
They're just hanging it on poles that are already existing.
okay.
So but it crosses a drain, so I wanted to bring it before you so you knew.
Okay.
So if I can get a motion on that, that would be good.
I'll-
As long as I get the signed agreement.
Entertain a motion to approve this regulated drain crossing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Keg Creek fallen trees.
yeah, Cade Creek has probably a dozen or more, trees in it. And we've been talking about this a little while, just, we got the Miller done now, and then I think the water came up, but, we do have this in the pipeline.
Is it something you
I think
could,
the highway department has helped us out quite a bit with some they can reach from the road, but there are, I counted, I think a dozen trees that,
Cade Creek's always got problems
yeah,
with
it's
the
always
trees.
got problems, and those are just the trees that are down in the ditch. If
Right.
you know where I'm talking about, the
Yeah.
rest of them are just kind of like at
Hang-
about a 45.
hanging by a thread?
But,
So is that something you can get to with the crops in, or is that something you gotta wait for the
no, that's
fall?
something I think we can get.
You can
to.
work on.
Yeah.
The water is what's kind of
Right.
holding us up on that.
Right.
But,
So just waiting on it to get dry enough to get in there to
Yeah.
do some work?
yeah.
Okay. And you'll get prices from local contractors, just like you always do, right?
Yeah, we've already got someone lined up for that.
Do you?
so,
Okay. And then Miller, so you said you've completed project on tree removal from Miller?
Yeah, and that's in that same area as Cade Creek, so that Miller runs, it's not a big ditch, but it runs west and then south down to the Potoka. So, that's right there. Fish and Wildlife had cleaned up their private ditch, been having a lot of beaver problems. We went and did some spraying, and then those dead trees, we went from having beaver problems to having, dead trees in there. So that's all cleaned up. Fish and Wildlife cleaned up their private lateral, and then we've got the Miller cleaned up, so that's all looking real nice, all the way going, all the way to the Potoka.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody from the public? You gentlemen have any comments or concerns, or?
Hey, Scott and Mr. Lewis, how's that going over there on Coal Mine Road? All the rain during the rainy season, how's that been going since they cleaned that all out?
It's working much better. We haven't had I guess, an active God high enough. There will still be issues on Coal Mine Road. We have some driveway culvert issues that are choke points that cause water to cross coal mine. We're gonna have to try and work some kind of co-op deal with the property owner. Maybe they buy the pipe, we put it in, kind of deal to get a bigger pipe in.
At
But
the moment,
it definitely, it looks nice. It was a real nice project.
Good. Did they ever get the fence back on?
I haven't, nope.
I didn't notice, I just went and looked at it last night.
No, they haven't done anything.
Have not?
I offered to pay half of it when they put it back up. I need to talk to Fort Branch and find out what they're gonna do.
You would think they would try to do that pretty quick
Well-
with security.
Think so.
You know, my job, we get that back up quick, you know, security wise, you know, but.
Well, they were awful worried about us taking it down to get in there. Somebody'd go in the sewer plant and steal some sewage or something, I don't know.
Free fertilizer.
Well, I guess it would be,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah,
I was just curious about it, that's it.
yeah. No, as
Thanks,
far as the project, the dirt work, I mean, it looks phenomenal.
It does, it looks good. Good, yeah.
Anything else, anybody? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to
I'll
adjourn.
second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.